This is our last pass before we change this as a PDF. So there you have my name, English, date, and then the total word count. And I got that word count from adding all of the various and sundry items, and you can see right down here at the bottom where that gives me the word count. And there you go. Okay, so I changed the title image, made it a little more groovy, and I don't have to copyright that. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show you that I added is figure explanations, and I also added a citation page for the images. So to do that, you right click the image and then insert a caption. It's gonna, you can't make it say the figure that you want it to be, so you just type in colon and whatever brief description you want for that, and then you would click OK, and it'll add it there below the section, below the title. Okay, and then just to show you the citation page, for each of the images, I did the image number and then I did the citation, because remember back when I was collecting images for this essay, when I collected an image, I just added the URL, so it was very easy to come back in and add the URL for each one of the figures. So anybody that wanted to see where I got that image can go over here and see where the image originated. Okay, back to the once-over. So in this last pass, not only am I looking for grammatical errors, but I'm looking for really specific things that I want to make sure I can avoid. So this is what happened. Here you go. Okay. I had written the sentence, young people sought camaraderie during a time when post-World War II adults did not understand anything. And I thought, man, that is a big general statement, and I'm going to have to prove that no adults understood anything beyond the acceptable political norms. Can I prove that? No, I can't. I don't know how many billion people were on the planet at that time, but there's no way I can make that claim. So, did not seem to understand. Okay, so that takes me away from having to prove something. And again, I've already mentioned that this is my point of view, so just want to point that out to you. And here again, this sentence, don't ask, don't tell, worked for that generation, but the children of the 60s began to ask questions, and the answers were given in threats of violence and army drafts. Okay, so instead of that generation, or I could put the establishment, because the establishment doesn't really indicate any particular person, and I could do it like this. Let's do worked for the establishment. Shown on the 60%. Okay. All right, because that was the whole thing, kind of. All right. I think that's going to be okay. All right, moving on. And I saw that I put assassinations in twice, so I just changed it. I know that in my family, the politics of an arguably pointless word, endless questions about the status quo, was not tolerate. Don't ask to tell word for the establishment, but the children of the 60s. Oh, that's good. I love the last pass. The last pass is kind of a luxury edit where I'm pretty sure I've caught most of the errors, and I gotta just, this all to be fixed. So I gotta make sure I check those. I just added those in yesterday. You know, for your essays, you're probably going to have 4 to 6 images. And it's nice to go ahead and label that image and go ahead and create a citation for it, just to get into the practice of it. I have 45 images in this essay, so it took a long time. But I was thinking as I was doing it that, you know, it would have been easier to just add a little citation to each one. Makes it look nice. And it's required for MLA, so I'm not requiring it for the essays that you write, but I think it's a good idea to practice it. Moving on. At first I had written, this essay postulates a potential theory. Okay, so instead of potential, I'm going to write that it's plausible. It's as good a theory as anybody else has, and so because I'm going to lay out some foundations of facts and so forth, I'm going to say it's a plausible theory, and instead of potential, or, you know, like that's kind of hedgy stuff. You know, well, maybe it might, you know, I'm just going to go with plausible. Just to show you real quick the idea of a transition sentence. So this paragraph has talked about the obtaining the farmland, and then this is the transition. Lang knew early on the Woodstock Ventures was not going to make money on this project. He had no idea what a documentary would do for the festival. What's the next paragraph about? That's right, it's about the documentary. That's a transition sentence. So you can see we move right on into the documentary. Another little logic point that I found, and this is naysayers comment that the Woodstock 69 crowd was easy to control because they were all on drugs. Remember, this is the section of a position paper that deals with the opposition. The opposition has something to say about everything, and so they must be considered. And so I write, that may be true, but there is nothing worse than a person on drugs and a freak out. But how do I know there's nothing worse? A lot of worse things there can be than that, right? So I put to me. And that way the reader is not going to go, well, I can think of a lot of things worse than a person freaked out on drugs. So this sentence is a problem. Okay, so I changed it to, that may be true, but to me, a person on drugs in a freak-out episode is unpredictable and dangerous. Okay. If I put it as a thing, that if I wrote, that may be true, but a person on drugs in a freak-out, I'm going to have a quote that shows that to be true. So as long as I can keep it to my opinion, and the whole essay isn't my opinion, I've got, my gosh, we've got 165 citations, so I've got a lot of evidence, but I'm just putting that there as my opinion, and then I've got to go in and kind of prove that, and this is where I'm proving that. The Altamont Festival, which you've seen. Okay, and now because I'm able to edit, I can fix this. Here's another one of those. This is the sentence. When Army helicopters flew in, the crowd began to stir. In a world where the armed forces and what I had did not represent the friends of the counterculture. You can't do that because I've got to have proof that that's the truth. So I just put did not always. And we have plenty of information in there to support that, but just soften it a little bit with did not always represent the friends of the counterculture. Remember when I've talked about the inserting of a long paragraph? This makes your reader stop and read an inserted piece of information. So I want to show you the exception to that rule, which is this particular quote right here. When the reader stops reading from the main text and they come in to read this story, I want them to read the whole story, because we are going up into the heavenly reasons for things happening the way they happened, and I encourage my reader to read this story. So that's my little example of an exception to the rule. Normally you would want it to be just no longer than this, but we have an important story to tell here. Okay, we've come to the end of the document, and now we're going to view the multiple pages before we save it as a PDF. Hold on, let me expand this. Okay, let's go back up to the top. We're just looking to see if anything just went all cattywampus, as these images have gone all over the place. I can't wait to save it as a PDF so these images will stop moving. I'm looking for blue underlined stuff. I don't dare move a picture. Every time I've moved them, they've just gone somewhere else. Paragraphs look good, though, don't they? Look at all these citations. My goodness. I don't care. I don't care. I will cite it if I looked at it. I feel like a person who writes something is owed a citation. If they came up with an idea, I owe it to them to cite where that idea came from. I feel strongly about that, and so does everybody else. Believe me, universities have that zero tolerance for plagiarism, and you'll never see my name on a plagiarism issue. And you know, we changed the final thing 100 times. But then those are all my documents and notes. Okay. It's time to save it. Save it as... Makes me so nervous. Okay, we're going to save it as a PDF, and then we'll look it over. Okay, there it is. All lovely, we'll just see. Okay, let's just scroll through it. What do you think about this little title? I think it's colorful. I did it myself, so I didn't have to copyright it or anything. Kind of sort of like the little Matisse thing. Remember the whole Matisse poster? I don't know. Remember, after the abstract, the title again, drop down, introduction, off we go. I like picking this image to show, because my whole point of this paragraph, as you know, the thing about Artie, this is Artie, is his eternal optimism. And I think that those pictures are really great of him smiling during that horrible rainstorm. He's just... I really tried to find pictures where they're in action. Not this one, but we couldn't get a color. Couldn't get a color. I like that compilation. I think that's a really good argument about the whole thing, that it was super easy to do because the kids were all on drugs. And I think that those 4 pictures I love this picture for the whole shared we experience. You see him from the back performing and I think that looks, I was very happy with that image. Remember, a picture says 1,000 words, and that picture cannot be a decorative, fun little image. It needs to be something that really connects to the paragraph's topic statement. You know, the thesis statement is the thesis for the whole essay, and each paragraph contains a topic sentence that tells the reader what that paragraph is about. Super easy when you see it broken down, and again, if your outline is complete, then it'll be super easy. All right. Just do a quick look at the citations. Sure none of those. And that's all of our notes. Outline. It's unbelievable that that essay came out of this simple outline, isn't it? So remember, this would have been a much shorter essay if all I had was the one criteria. But we had the two criteria, and we had a huge question to answer, and that's why it turned into such a large essay. All right. That concludes this tutorial. We're all done. Oh my God!